Welcome to JDM Imported.
Hey, welcome back to another episode, an exciting episode of the JDM Imported podcast. This is episode 8. It came quick. It came quick after 7, and it's quite frankly, it's because I need you. I need to do a little venting. Had a situation today, and regarding the Cedric, the Nissan Cedric that I picked up from port last week. Kind of gave the rundown on the last episode of that, and I was taking it to the DMV, as I do, and just got hit with an absolute haymaker, gut punch, overhand right. Words can't describe how I felt after this story that I'm about to share with you. Hopefully you learned something from it. I sure did. I learned that there is no cohesion in government agencies. We will get into that. But man, I just, you have everything lined up. You have the process down, your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and sometimes you get these curveballs. I got one today to the dome, like straight up temple shot, down for the count. But I'll be getting back up. Don't you worry. So anyways, I took the Cedric down to the DMV. All my paperwork in order, like always. I go in. I went to the Huntersville DMV here, so it's in North Carolina, outside Charlotte. And they're one of the few that has the inspection stations. An inspection station essentially consists of a DMV that has state troopers on staff. They're there for like 2 hours a day, between 8 and 10. And they're the ones that just, essentially make sure all the paperwork's there, and they just lay eyes on the car. Basic stuff. I mean, they walk out, does the VIN match the export certificate? Sweet, cool, good. They give a stamp of approval, then you register. Super easy, simple, gone through it before. Good dudes there that I've worked with so far. Haven't had an issue, but today. Again, I'm a small operation. This year, this would be, they counted on the books this year like my third purchase, right, for the business. So in North Carolina, you're allowed to buy and sell 4 cars in a year. And that's just a law. And it says explicitly, it's pretty black and white, buy and sell 4 cars in a year. So this being my third, I'm not thinking anything of it, right? Rolling up to the DMV. It's the state police office is actually there. So the state police are the ones that inspect your car, submit your paperwork, and do all that fun stuff. So I go in as normal. They call my name. State police officer comes out. Mr. Prinzo, how you doing today? Good. Things are good. Nice. Good weather out there? Absolutely. Everyone's in a good mood. He's like, you got all the paperwork? Here you go. Bing, bang, boom. Entry, summary, export, EPA, safety, all that stuff. He's like, hey, why don't you come in the back with me while I run some stuff? I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Like, I don't know, maybe they recognize me. I know I recognize a couple guys that work there, and I've never been in the back. The back's like some security code that they scan each time they go in and out of the door, come in and out of the back where they process everything. So I'm like, yeah, word, this is cool. I've never been back in the inner sanctum. He's like, haha, a little chuckle, lighten the mood a little bit. I'm just thinking like, they're just, I don't know, going to run some paperwork, show me what's up. So he takes me back into this room that just looks, quite frankly, straight up like an interrogation room. And I'm like, oh, this is like, there's no computer in here. There's no phone. What's that? Like, heart rate's going up a little bit. But again, like, there's nothing in my mind prompting myself that there's any issue. I have all the paperwork. I've done this before. I know that this is only my third car of the year. Like, And at worst, because I can't really remember the date. It might have been end of December, beginning of January for the Skyline. But at worst, it's my 4th of the year. Not sweating it, but really by the time I find something, source it and bring it back, it's almost going to be end of the year anyway for my 5th car. So I'm like, whatever. Like, nothing's crossing my mind other than the fact that I'm in an interrogation room. And the state police officer's like super nice, like throwing out bros and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh. So he sits me down. He's like, so what's Elusive Auto Co? I'm like, oh, it's it's my company. it's an automotive company. I keep it vague. He's like, okay, yeah. Like what do you do? Do you import cars? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I checked out your website. I'm like, oh, that's strange. So I guess when you go there, to back up a little bit, when you go there, you just sign in with your name and what you need done. And that's it. So it was my name, Dante Prinzo. And I guess he pulled the name up because it looked familiar and looked at my records and saw the business name attached and hopped on the website so he knew what I was doing, see if I was like telling the truth. Which again, still, like, I'm not super concerned. It's weird, but I'm not concerned. I'm like, all right, yeah, like that's what we do. What I do, I say we, I mean, it's me. He's like, yeah, how many cars have you imported this year? I was like, depending on when the first one was, this would be either my third or fourth. So, and I even told him, and I was like, and I understand, that's, my limit for the year. If this is my fourth, if it's my third, I can bring one more in this year. He's like, well, you're wrong on that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you're the expert. I just, from talking to the other guys here, the other officers when I import, I always reconfirm. And again, I've said this in past episodes, never assume. Assumption is the death of all deals. And I'm like, yeah, I talked to other guys and kind of confirmed it was 4, and I was looked on the DMV, the website, the government website, and it says buy and sell 4 cars in a calendar year, starting from the purchase of the first one. Okay, so if you purchase a car in June, it'll be next June, right? That's when the calendar starts. So, and it says again, I can't reiterate this enough: buy and sell 4 cars. He's like, well, this will put you. He's like, I'll have to check the dates again, but this will either put you at 6 or 8. And I'm like, there must be a mistake. Like, I'm telling you, I would know. A lot of work goes into it. I am not on car 6 or 8. I wish I was on car 6 or 8, but totally not, dude. He's like, well, did you buy it in Japan? I said, yes. It was a wire transfer, domestic transfer from Japan. So it's, technically kind of off the books here. And he's like, okay, well, that's 1. And then he says, when you register it here, that's 2. So, I paused for a while. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's 2. It's 2 per car? You count it when I buy it and when I sell it? He said, yeah. And I was like, not saying you're wrong, officer, but, it says buy and sell 4, not buy and sell 4 cars. There's no subtext or asterisk that says it counts as a transact. I'm still foggy, and I'm like, I'm livid right now. I'm mixed in with a little bit of nerves, mixed in with just confusion, because I still don't understand. I guess, not saying he's wrong. He's definitely, this is what he does. I guess they can just choose to enforce how they want, when they want. But yeah, so apparently for each car, they count each transaction on the same car. Not buying and selling the car is, okay, that's one. To me, a car is a unit, right? So if we look at this in simple form, moving a car is a unit. You're not buying half the unit and selling half the unit and counting it twice. I'm still super foggy on that, but that's apparently how they do it. That's how they're enforcing it. He couldn't tell me for sure. I was like, has anything changed? And he was like, this is how it should be enforced. He's like, if you would have got someone else today, maybe you would have been fine. But he's like, that's not how I do things, and that's how it is in the system now. So he's like, you can't bring this Cedric back until next June. And I'm like, well, if we start the counter from when I purchased the first car, even that doesn't make sense to June, but not arguing that point. But I'm like, okay, well, can I sign something or promise or something? Can I still register it? It'll be in my name, my personal name, not the company. I can just register it in my name because my name's attached to Elusive Auto, so I can kind of pick and choose. I was like, and can I just have it for personal? I won't sell it within this year, which in the back of my mind, that just buys me time to get a dealer license and stuff. And then this way I have this car that I can actually drive. I can take to shows. You know what I mean? That's important. It's especially this. I want to show it off. But anyways, I don't want to get into talking about cars. This this is a vent session, and this is also to kind of offer a little bit of insight for those of you starting something, thinking about starting something. These are just hurdles that no matter how much you think you have it on lock, and I'm telling you, every time I talk to every person, I am reconfirming the facts. Every time. Last time I was there, reconfirm. 4 cars. 4 cars, not 4 transactions. Now, if they said 4 transactions, I'd be like, what does a transaction mean? Because then I'm thinking, okay, Japanese transaction, U.S. transaction, get it. And even at that logic, then technically each car should count as 3 transactions, right? Because it's a transaction of buying it in Japan, it's a transaction of selling it here, or registering it here, paying the tax on it, and selling it. So, I mean, hell, if you're talking transaction life, then yeah, count 3 for all I care. But I mean, all I know, the fact of the matter is, I'm screwed right now. But all that means is it's speeding up a timeline, and I am not taking credit for this, because you know how I said my goal is to be in a retail space in the next 14 months. Well, I'm gonna have to be in a retail space ASAP, or else I can't do anything. Or else I have this Cedric on the books that I can't sell for a year, and then after that I can do 2 cars. Like, that's not going to cut it. And man, it's like, I'm not ready for it. I mean, to be honest with you, like, it's just, the company needed to grow a little bit. I needed to get a little more in. Like, this is going to be a huge financial punch in the face. But as with punches, if it's not a knockout, you stay on your feet. And this isn't a knockout. I'm staying on my feet. I am somehow going to collect myself. It's like 10:30 on Thursday. I'm going to somehow collect myself. I need to do my day job because that's what pays the bills. It's going to be super hard today because all I want to do is look for retail space, sign up for the licensing classes, all the bond, the insurance, the seller's bond. Like, it is, getting a dealer license isn't like starting a business. I mean, straight up, anyone that thinks they're the shit because they started a business, anyone could do it in not even an afternoon, like a half hour. You go to the deeds office, you submit the name, they make sure it's not a duplicate, stamped, you pay $27, boom, you have a DBA. Not a big deal. Dealer license? Man. Actually, you know what? Here, I got the paper. I got the paper right here. Because the officer was nice enough. Oh, and just to, I want to close that out. So he drops this bomb on me, and he says that, he's like, I'm like, officer, what are my options? Because this is what I'm trying to do. I want to do it by the letter of the law, but like, I can't have this car sit for a year. Like, I just can't. It needs to be driven. It needs to be, like, I paid for it. It's just, it's insured. You know, like, it cannot sit for a year. I can't just have this thing. Plus, I mean, I didn't tell him this, but you guys know if you've listened, I just made huge changes with my personal vehicles, getting a vehicle that'll pick up cars at the port. If I can't do anything for a year, selling the M5 and getting this Ridgeline was like the most nonsensical move ever. And again, it costs money, to do these transactions, to get the Ridgeline all fixed up and to get the M5 ready for sale. Like, that would have, in how much time I put into that, like, that would have been just the most colossal waste ever. So he says, yeah, here's your options. Your options are, I can give you a citation and you can pay a fine of $225 per incident. So that'll be six fines of $225. And, it'll be a filed record. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a lot of money and I don't want a record. So he said the other option is, he even said, not to be a dick, but I mean, technically, you even coming in and trying to do this, I could arrest you if by the letter of the law. And that's where I'm like, this went from like, what's up, bro? How you doing? This is how it's going. Okay, got a gut punch to like, oh, you could be arrested. I'm like, for real? So in North Carolina, if they're counting each transaction, each car is essentially 2 transactions. So 2 cars would actually equal the 4 that the website says. Again, I'm going to have to agree with them. You're not going to win this fight, but come on. Like, work on the verbiage here. Make that shit super crystal clear, because 4 cars is way different than 4 transactions. It's 100% different. Or 50, whichever way you look at it. I mean, so, and I'm sure he said that just to like kind of stop the conversation, because, you know, when someone hears like they could potentially be arrested, it's you're no more on the defense. You're just like, you're showing gratitude, thank you, and let's like just move on. So I understand the tactic, if you will, of that. I mean, it's clear, it's transparent. I see through it. You know, I knew that it wasn't an actual certainty. It was a minor threat, but it was just to kind of close up the conversation, because I was asking, I was like, okay, officer, I respect where you're coming from. Can you please print me out like a report? I just want some documentation so I know the day of these transactions, which I have in my books. I mean, I can keep track of everything. I know the days that I did everything to these cars, but I want to know what day specifically they're starting this clock. And he's like, no, I can't share any of that with you. He's like, it's just, you just know that it's June 2019 when you can register another car. He's like, you can import as many as you want, you just can't register them and you can't sell them. So I left with that. I left with an empty feeling, not even any paperwork, but he was nice enough to give me this sheet that's in front of me right now of North Carolina motor vehicle dealer license requirements, which are hilarious. Let me run through you here. So, and just so you know, I'll go through the details of like what I need for this dealer license, and I'm still going to learn as I go, I'm sure. I'll keep you posted with that, but I'm going to do it. You know, I'm not ready. Time, money, effort is not ready at all, but I'm going to make it happen, because I'm not going to let this be a day in which someone said you can't run your business. You need to put your dream on hold. And the thing is, even putting it on hold, even if I was a patient man and I said, okay, I won't do anything for a year, not happening, how am I going to get to the point where I can build up inventory, revenue, where I can open a retail space at 2 cars a year? You can't. There's no way, unless I saved up 80 grand and I'm trying to buy and sell exotics where there's, you know, a much larger profit margin. I mean, there's no way you can't do it. You can't do it 2 cars a year if you're doing, you know, Mazdas, Nissans, like I don't care if it's NSXs. You're not doing it. I'm sorry. It's just. So, and there's ways around it. Like, I know people that have done this and they do it personally, and then they'll have other people's like, yeah, if I didn't want to start getting some recognition and some name out there for my business, I totally could have brought in more than 2 cars a year. I'd put, 2 in my name, 2 in my wife's name, 2 in my dad, like whatever. It's super easy to get around. And quite honestly, if I did 6 in my name, it wouldn't have red flagged them. It just, even he said like, because I'm like, residential people, I guarantee there's probably 50 people in my neighborhood that have bought and sold or traded in 2 cars in a calendar year. Like, it's not crazy. Sometimes things like households and stuff, like it happens. I mean, I'm sure there's family households, if all the cars are in one person's name and you have one for the husband, one for the wife, one for a kid, one for another, like you could do 4 in a year without breaking a sweat in just like kind of a normal year of just like you all kind of upgraded your car. Like, I'm sure it happens. But he said that's at everyone's discretion. And if it's residential, it's cool. So if there's a business attached to it, he's like, I could even register this car for you today. But he's like, I know that you're going to sell it. And I can't sit. And if you do, you're breaking the law and I let you go. And he's like, you can promise me, you could sign something, but like, you're not going to sit on it for a year. And I'm like, fair enough. Like, I'm not going to have a title for a car, have the capital tied up in it and sit on it for a year. Like, fair enough. But yeah, so apparently it's a loose rule for residents, super loose, kind of a ridiculous rule for residents. But when the company name's attached, you're screwed. And so, double-edged sword right there. I wanted to start the company, get the name out there. I thought I covered my due diligence with 4 cars a year. But apparently, I'll take blame for it. I don't know. I don't know what else I could have done. I called, main numbers of the state DMV. I've talked to patrolmen. I thought I've had things super clear. So again, I don't know if things. I get a feeling something's changed. Something's being audited. I don't know. That's usually the case when people crack down, kind of like my port experience a car back, where all of a sudden they felt like that day enforcing a rule that isn't really even displayed anywhere to be found or talked about or anything. It's just kind of out of the air. I mean, I don't know, like, as a person that doesn't work from the government, all I have to go on is what you publish. That's it. And what you say. But really the law should be what's published. That's all I have to go on, And if there's gray areas, again, I can't assume that it's not a rule or it is a rule. I can just go by the rules, So like with a port, if it says I can bring someone in and it wasn't an issue if you stay nose to nose with car or nose to bumper with cars, I can't assume that I'm breaking the rule, But then there's one guy, they're getting audited, he enforces it that day. I'm at the DMV today. The rule is 4 cars. The rule is 4 cars. The rule is 4 cars. And today it's 4 transactions. A car counts as 2. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's just the price of business. So yeah, the lovely officer handed me the North Carolina Motor Vehicle Minimum Dealer License Requirements. It's only one page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Like 16 checkpoints that you need. 16 things. Some are easy, some are super extensive. So, my timeline is moving up, but this is going to be something super temporary. I'm going to get the absolute, it's not going to be a fancy showroom. I'm not getting a lift. This is literally so I can just bring cars in. I'll probably still keep them in my house or around. I'm talking like absolute minimum. So when this happens, we're not going to celebrate that I hit my goal. It doesn't count. My goal is an actual space where I can fit a bunch of cars in and with a showroom. This doesn't count. So I'm not letting myself off the hook from this goal because it was a lofty goal at 14 months. It's an insane goal of getting it done ASAP, but it's not going to be the way I want it to get it done this way. This is strictly so I can pass the minimum requirements, have my dealer license, and continue and get this Cedric registered, and then just continue to bring cars in so I can build up enough so I have reason and some structure to have a bigger space. So, oh, God. You need a retail space. Number 1 on the list is a retail space. And get this, you need 96 square feet of floor space in a permanent enclosed building. Oh. Pause on that. I got a package coming. Quiet. All right, I'm back. Quick little pause there. FedEx guy showed up with a son of a bitch, Sue. Come on, Sue. Come here. Sue! Get in here. Suki! Get the fuck in there! Come on. Help me out. Okay, so quick pause. FedEx guy showed up. FedEx guy just stopped by with a package, of course, something for the business that we're talking about now. Awesome. All right, so the first thing you need with a retail space, 96 square feet of floor space in a permanent enclosed building. It's got to be separate from your living space. Okay, so that's 96 square feet. That's a box. You can't fit a car in that. So that's what I'm gonna. Quite honestly, I'm gonna look for a place that can fit a car in, and it needs to have an office space. So it needs to have a sales room or established office. So that is where the office comes in. So essentially, 96 square feet of like warehouse, storage, whatever, and then an office, which essentially is a desk and a chair. But it has to be a place that, and they go into more detail, that resembles an office where you can keep files and business documents, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's easy enough. So I can get a very basic place, like a one-car garage with like a little something off of it. You need a sign designated the trade name or the business in high contrast block letters, no less than 3 inches in height, in a contrasting background. So you need a sign outside somewhere. You must furnish a corporate bond or cash bond in the amount of $50,000 or for one established sales room, or $25,000 for each established sales room. That I've already looked into. That's pretty basic. It's fairly inexpensive. You have to have a business name on file with the Register of Deeds. I did that last year, so that's taken care of. Articles of incorporation, North Carolina Secretary of State. Okay, easy. You need to have liability insurance. So this is a big one. You need to have liability insurance or garage coverage form of. So they have automobile dealer supplementary policies, which essentially, they simple. They cover cars in your space. Comprehensive liability. So you need also your standard driving insurance, because you need to get dealer plates. So it'll be the liability on the vehicle, whoever's driving it, if there's test drives. It's basically your standard insurance coverage. The minimums, the state minimums, I believe, are a little higher than the minimums if you were a person, but generally that's money well spent, because if you're in a business, people obviously think that there's more to go after. In my case, they'd be sorely mistaken, because it's going to be a shanty with a desk in it. But hey, you also, and this is something I have to look into, you need to purchase a local trader's license. I don't know what that is. I got to look into that. Application for business, for wholesale, or for so you need another sales application. You need to file some other things, essentially to collect tax or be tax exempt. That stuff I already have. I'm already registered with the IRS. You also need to, and this is the one that's, again, a huge time thing. Now, this all this paperwork, getting inspectors out there, it's not like all this stuff I could technically fill out in a day. I could get the insurance within a week. I can get the trader's license. I'm imagining if I'm going to a municipality, I can get that fairly quick. But the thing is, it's the time involved in the course. So you need to take a dealer's license course. And this is to get so after you have all these requirements, you take this course, and then they give you the dealer license, which you put up on the showroom, and it makes you feel accomplished, in which it's going to be kind of a hollow feeling because I was cornered into getting it, and it's not the way I wanted to do it. But nonetheless, it'll be there for me moving forward. So you need a 12-hour licensing course approved by the Division of Motor Vehicles to get the initial license, and a 6-hour course approved by the Division of Motor Vehicles if seeking a renewal license. Okay, so a 12-hour course. So I need to take a 12-hour course. That doesn't sound like much, but I'll have to look at it, but what is that? I'm guessing like most of these, they have 4 hours once a week. So I would do it all in a day if I could, but I'm pretty sure they're divvied up. That has the potential to last, 3/4 of a month just to get through that. And then I have no idea how long it takes to process the license, but I have a feeling it takes a while. If it takes 4 to 5 weeks to get a title sent out in this state, I imagine a license and stuff, it could be similar. So that's what I'm bummed about. Not the amount of work, not the money is, bummed about that too, but it's really the, it's the time, man. It's the time. This is not going to be like pounded out in a week. And if anything you've picked up from this, like I have a pretty high bandwidth as far as my energy and my use of time. Like if this is 30 hours of work, I will get my day job done and I would pound this out, and I'd be I'd do it in a week, but it's not. I mean, it's government stuff. It's going to be slow going. It's going to be monotonous. It's going to be repetitive. Yeah, so I need to make a call to the county. Oh, and then you need to call the county inspector, and they need to come out once you have all this to approve your place. So the thing is, I have to get some clarification as to the order of doing all of this, but yeah, and then after that, it's just a bunch of nickel and dime fees. Yeah, dealer license certificate, $90, plates, $36, 18 for additional, transporter plate, temporary markers. They're like $25 for a set of 25. That's like nothing. So that's not too bad. I know there's a cost for the dealer course. I feel like it's $1,000 or something. I know it's not super cheap, but yeah, the big thing is, I'm now going to be tethered to a space which I'm going to have to pay for monthly. And these cars, I mean, at least I can keep bringing them in, but it's like I have to sell the 3 that I have, then bringing them in. I mean, you're at least 2 months. Add another one on to wait for the title and stuff. At least if I'm as a dealer, I believe I can do a transfer without it, or I know there's a form in which I could send it directly to somebody once I submit the documents to the state, the import documents. So that could save some time. But I mean, best case scenario, it's like a 2-3 month process from beginning to end, getting a car, getting it here ready and out to be sold. I mean, that's best case scenario. That's if you don't get any jams on the shipping or anything like that. I mean, that's best case. And then it could go up to 5 months. So that's what sucks, is just the turnover until, and that's, listen, it's not a bad thing. And I'm not complaining. I'm venting. Let's be clear about that. I'm glad that this isn't easy, because that's gonna weed out the people that don't take it seriously. It's gonna weed out the ones that just want to, and I hate this term, but the ones that just want to flip cars. Because to me, car flippers are just about flipping cars, making a profit. So just throw some polish on it, but don't fix it. You know what I mean? Just make it presentable with the minimal amount of work done to it and make the maximum profit. That to me is flipping cars, and I cringe when anyone says that about what I do, because it's not what I do. I look through these cars as if I were buying them, because I see value in that service. I see value in, instead of just putting a glaze wax on to cover up a shitty quarter panel, hit it with some compound and a buffer. Clay bar, compound it, seal it, so it feels nice and it doesn't look like garbage. If you're going to restore the headlight, throw some 3M clear bra or throw a clear coat over it so it's actually fixed and it doesn't just look good for a week. That's it. I mean, and these are things that take a little bit of time, but not that much. And it has somebody much more excited and enjoying their experience more. I just bought a bunch of 3M clear tape because I'm doing the headlights on the M, because I can absolutely wet sand buff them and they look great for somebody when they pick it up, and then a month later they're going to look yellow. I don't know. It's stuff that bothers me that I would want done. So I'm not a car flipper. I hate that. And I mean, with that, it's man, this is going to be my head's spinning. This is going to be a process, but listen, people, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to take you along for the ride. And that's why, I mean, I literally just got home when I started recording. This was fresh on my mind, unscripted. There's one, to be honest, there's going to be one edit chop in the middle because the FedEx guy came and I just didn't turn off recording, so you don't want to listen to 3 minutes of dead air. But this is completely transparent of my experience today, and I hope you learned something. Even if you're not applying for a business in North Carolina, even if you're not applying for a business or doing it, period, I just think that there's so much of this that translates to everything you do. This translates to working for somebody, rolling with the punches there. I mean, I've worked in corporate environments. I've been in cutthroat environments. I've been in supportive environments, and environments where there is no law, and it's just it kind of shifts around to accommodate whoever's enforcing it at whatever time. And you can get hung up on it. You could take the punch and fall down, and you could say that this is just bullshit and I don't want to deal with it. but where are you at the end of that? And I think that's kind of the lesson today. That's the lesson in this that I think can apply to a lot of people. And this isn't pick yourself up by your bootstraps type of talk. This is just real talk. I mean, if you want to get anywhere, these things are going to happen, and don't play victim. I mean, I can sit here and play victim. No, they didn't tell me. Like, it's done. Like, I'm not going to convince an officer to put his job on the line. I'm not like the arrogance to think that I could even reason with him, even though I was courteous. I'm almost embarrassed that I didn't like talk back, but that I had responses, because the arrogance of me thinking that he'll say, I trust you won't sell it. Like, give me a break. That's his job. I wouldn't put for a stranger. How many of you would put your job on the line for a stranger just to help them out? You won't, and you shouldn't. I mean, there's rules, you got to follow them, whether you agree with them or not. That's the lesson. You're going to have that stuff. You're going to have that stuff whether you work for a Fortune 500, whether you're an employee at Arby's. You're going to have that. I've had that in every step of the way, and trust me, you focus on it, you don't get past it. And you don't want these hurdles to turn into walls, Like hurdles you can run through. Walls, yeah, you get knocked down and that's it. So I don't know what the hell this was, but it was thank you. This was helpful. I feel better. I've talked it through. I hope you've gotten something out of it. I don't mean for this to turn into like business talk and not trying to inspire. I'm just trying to share. That's all. So, quick update, interjection at the end of this episode. So right now, I'm in the Cedric, and in interest of my transparency, we basically just turned this podcast into a sitcom. There was a problem and a resolution all in one episode. So it is now Friday, the next day after I just got my gut punch. I called up Raleigh, which is the main office for the Theft and License Bureau. I told them my issue. I was like, there's a misinterpretation, I think, of the rules, what I'm reading, how I'm interpreting it in this officer. And they said unequivocally that I am absolutely right, which felt great. And sidebar, I came home, started this podcast, and I was quoting 4 cars per 12 months. And I was doing so because I read 5, but this officer kept saying 4. It is indeed 5. And it is indeed not a calendar year, consecutive. So that'll keep moving. It's a sliding scale, if you will. So it's just 5 in any 12-month period. So I got some clarification. I talked to them. They were super helpful. I actually got a direct line of somebody if I need them. She said, honey, go down there and try it again. They're not going to arrest you. They can't. So I'm like, all right. So went down to the office today. Same spiel. I got a different inspector, a different state trooper, totally upfront with him. Because quite honestly, the way he just asked for paperwork and was going to go on his merry way, I think I would have just got the car inspected and moved on. But I wanted to explain just in case there was any red flags. So I was like, yeah, I was here yesterday. This guy was telling me transactions. He said I was already over the allotted amount. And I interpreted it as selling cars. He said it was transactions. He was saying calendar year. And he threatened me with fines. And he also said that I can't register anything for another year. And I got someone new there. And he was like, that sounds really wrong. And he's like, you did the right thing, not arguing or anything like that, but hold on a sec. So he comes out with his boss. So basically the officer that manages the whole group at the Theft and License Bureau office in Huntersville, and just great guy. He was like, he listened to me, listened to the full case, right? And I didn't really even have to make a case. He was just like, tell me what went on. And I was like, listen, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I think there's, and I didn't even say this other guy was wrong. I was like, I just think that there's a misinterpretation. And he said, yes, this is the law, and it's the statute is like 20-286. Article 11, it's pretty basic. It leaves some to interpretation, but he said, so I told him exactly what this officer told me, and he was like, first off, thank you. Thanks for coming in. He's like, most people wouldn't, just because it's intimidating, and if an officer tells you not to do something, usually don't do it. Me being who I am, no is merely a hurdle, not a definitive, so that no wasn't really going to slow me down. And he was really appreciative, because he was like, listen, I train these guys, and I need to make sure we're all on the same page, and if no one tells me when someone gives them some like cockamamie explanation, then how am I going to fix it? You know, this gentleman will continue to kind of spread this rhetoric that is 100% just false. It's not a misinterpretation. It's just 100% false, period. So that, man, that went well. So basically, just to summarize it all up, he said that, yes, technically I can only sell 5 cars. He said, you can buy as many as you want. Reason being, you're not doing a quick title. So for importing cars, you can't get like a next day title, like a dealership, or really anyone typically could if you were, say, in North Carolina buying another used car off a private party person in North Carolina, or if you're someone like he mentioned, people that are doing dealership stuff without being a dealer, i.e. buying a car at an auction, doing a quick title, and never actually registering it in their name or their business name. That's a workaround. If they catch you with that, that's where the big fines, that's where the threat, like I got, of jail time come into play. With someone like me, who has tags on everything is registered, usage tax paid on, insured, he said, technically, Dante, I gotta be honest with you, you're good to go. Like, you could, yes, by the letter of the law, it's 5 vehicles, but we can't really prove that these aren't personal use, because even if they're under your company name, your name's attached to the company and you're registering them. So there's plenty of people that buy a car and a month later trade it, or car collectors that go to swap meets that have it for 6 months or a week or a day or whatever and trade cars, and they're fine. So he's like, there's really no difference. Legally, you are completely within your rights to continue what you're doing. He definitely said it'll make things easier. It'll save you money from a business standpoint if, I had a dealership license. Expensive to do up front, but overall it'll cost me less. And because, margins are pretty thin, because I'm trying to offer value to people. And, to get a name out there, you got to move some cars, and got to be competitive regardless of how much work you put into them and how much you had to pay for them. So it'll definitely help the business growth, but I can't grow it until I get to that point where I can then reinvest and make kind of that big step. So what a difference 24 hours makes. We're in the clear. Business as usual. I still feel like I'm going to accelerate that timeline on getting a space and getting things going, but and I will be able to do so because now I can sell my cars. I was told yesterday that basically I can't do anything, which was insane. I'm like, basically I can't do another move until I get a dealer license. So that yesterday was stall out, dead in the water. I'm calling insurance companies, trying to get general liability. I was calling to look at some properties. Mad dash, mad scramble. So I'm still going to be on the prowl of that, but now it's not an absolute emergency, and I'll be able to do so the way that I want to, because I will be able to continue to grow and develop the business, get some revenue to reinvest in the company, so I can do this the right way, not the cheapest way possible. Whew, that is all. So that's the update. I'm going to jump back into to yesterday to close out this episode, but just wanted to come full circle and give you guys the realness. There it is. Don't take no for an answer. Just because they're government agencies doesn't mean they're law. There's interpretation with everything. I've even found on a federal level there's different interpretations. So do your due diligence, be respectful, be kind, become correct. When I came back with the knowledge from talking to somebody with the information in front of me, I'm good, I'm golden. It's there in black and white. Without that stuff, I wasn't sure. I have zero case to make. So, yeah, basically, don't be a dick. Know your shit. Talk soon. As always, hit me up, social, all the platforms, Elusive Auto Co., ELUSIVE Auto Co. Email me, sales@elusiveautoco.com. Again, you don't have to be a customer to reach out to me. Questions, concerns, feedback, accolades, pessimism, whatever you want to share, it's all good. Let's keep growing this community. I'm gonna keep growing this business because I have no choice. I'm not gonna stop now, and I'm gonna make it happen. So, and you guys can hold me to that, because I have put it on record. I've put myself on notice. It's out there, and if I don't do it, feel free to throw the "I told you so"s. But I will. I mean, this is done. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna take time. Enjoy the ride with me. So look forward to hearing from you out there. Enjoy your days. Peace.